going to talk about making clickable objects in p5js. So in p5js, if you were to just do something like rectangle 100, 200, 50, 60, there's no like inherent built-in way to have any information about this. Like once it's drawn to the screen somewhere, so like if you were to do something like translate 100 in the x direction, 50 in the y direction, and then rotate like pi divided by 3, and then you wanted to know where you were or something like that, if you wanted to like spit out what's the position of this rectangle, or it doesn't really know, like you have to keep track of that yourself. So to do that, you're going to want to use objects. So you can do something like let clickable equal, and you probably want to give it like an x value and a y value, and then you say clicked false, and then you can give it a method draw, which is a function, and in that function you can do like circle this dot x, which is going to grab this value, and this dot y, which will grab that 50, and then you could say maybe like give it a radius property as well, this dot r, and that would be one way to sort of have that. And then you could say clickable dot draw, and then you could try to like detect if it was clicked by saying giving like an update function. So update will be a function, and you'll say if the distance from this dot x, this dot y to mouse x, mouse y is less than this dot r, then I want to make that times 2, because times 2 because it's the diameter. Then this dot clicked equals true, and then we could say like we'd also want to say mouse is pressed. This dot clicked is true, and we could say else this dot else this dot clicked is false. And then you could say if this dot clicked, this might be a little bit, we could potentially just put our clicked logic in here, but anyway, there could be benefits to like having other ways of controlling this dot clicked, maybe. So we'll say if this dot clicked, then we could say this dot x equals mouse x, and this dot y equals mouse y, and then we need to call update clickable dot update, and then one potential issue with this is the second I click this, it automatically snaps to where the mouse is. So fixing that could be, one way we could do that would be like determine the offset at the point when it was clicked, and then we say and this dot clicked is not true, it's false, so we just say not this dot clicked. So if it hasn't been clicked, then it'll be like boom, the second we click it, this only runs when we click. So I can say console.log clicked, just to test it. Oh, it appears to be running every time. Oh. Because if it's false, this dot clicked is false. Not false, it's true. Oh. Duh. Okay. So now it only runs once, but then we'll need to do something like mouse released to make this dot click to be false. Let's see. Oh, we could just do this. We could just say if the mouse is not pressed, this dot clicked is false. That works. Cool. So now in here we could say mouse offset. Give that an X and a Y property. And then we'll update mouse offset when we click. So we can say this dot mouse offset equals, the X property will be mouse X minus this dot X, and the Y property will be mouse Y minus this dot Y. And then we can use that in here. We could say this dot X equals mouse X minus this dot mouse offset dot X minus this dot mouse offset dot Y. Let's try this. Yeah. Okay, so now it's keeping track of the offset when you clicked it, so it no longer snaps to the position. So that's kind of nice. And so now if we wanted a bunch of these, we could copy this and say like let clickable 2 equal something, but a much better way to do that is going to be something called a constructor function. So we could say function clickable, we'll give it an X, Y, R, that's it. Those will be our arguments for doing this. And then we're going to return an object. So we're going to return one of these objects that we just made. Cool, so each time it's going to return an object that has all these properties that we want. And it's even customizable because now we can say we're going to use these properties X, Y, and R. So we could have different size circles and at different locations. So we could say clickable equals we'll say clickables, and we'll make it an array. And we'll say clickable of 100, 120. We'll do a couple more of these. Just do some like random. Could actually just do random values 0 to width, random 0 to height, and random of 10 to 50. Just do a bunch of these, and then we'll say for C in clickables. Let's just see what we have here. Right, C in clickables, console.log clickables of C. Alright, so we have each of those objects. Perfect. So then we say for each of these, we're going to want to update it and draw it. Nice. So now like a two overlap, you have two at once. And it's also, if you're holding down the mouse and you scroll over one of them or mouse over one of them, it automatically grabs it, which might not be something that you want. So you might want to do something like, if the mouse was just pressed, to like add a check in here to see if the mouse was pressed on that frame, to only do that. But hopefully this gives you an idea of a starting point. And yeah, that's the way to do clickable objects. Click and drag. If you have any questions or suggestions, just let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to do more.